you ready for a little Southern humor mixed with relevant topics we can all relate to? We're about to pull back the curtains and mix it up. Scoot your chair up. It's time to talk about all the things and ask all the questions. Welcome to Get It Together, y'all.
I don't know if I've got it together at all today. This is going to be a really fun show. We're so excited that you came and you joined us today. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Get yourself a cup of coffee or an energy drink or something. We're going to have fun. We have two full couches today. So I love it when we got a full show, and it's really exciting. And some of my favorite people are back in the house. And so anyway, we're going to have fun. We're going to have some real talk. We have some people who are not afraid to just say the things, and they all have testimonies of kind of some crazy things, like stories you just wouldn't believe are real, and they really are real. So we're gonna hear all about it, and we're gonna say, I was listening to our opener, and it says we're gonna pull back the curtains. And one of the aspects of this show that I love so much is that so many times in social media and in life, people are trying to be perfect and I just hate that. Like, they're trying to find somebody to copy in their aesthetic and in their personality and follow their path, like find somebody that will be their mentor. And April and I just got together and said, we want people to be themselves, only better. And so we want to be there to help and just be you, but pulling that curtain back of shame is a big part of my heart. And so we hope that today you will just experience just a free flow of love and non-judgment conversations. And we're going to have some of that today. So my name is Cindy Larson. I'm your host. Thank you for joining us. And I'm over here sitting next to my wonderful co-host, April.
Thank you. I'm April Potter, the co-host. And I'm going to introduce you to our guest today. Like she said, we've had all three of these guests have been here on previous shows, and we're so happy to have them back. We're talking about different subjects this time, as we've got to know them over the course of having them on the other shows. And so I think this is gonna be a real treat for sure. Yeah. And so I'm gonna introduce them, and if you'll just say a couple of sentences about maybe where you're at right now in life and why you're here, or maybe what your platform is for today, then that would be awesome. So we have Anna B. Major.
Hi, Anna B.
Hi. I guess a couple things about myself. 28, living in Nashville. I work in the music industry, but I am looking to get out of it and be more in the counseling and recovery treatment area.
You're going to be great at that,
too. My testimony.
And she's walked through some of that, so you have a unique perspective to help others.
I hope so.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Absolutely. And the sweetest person. And
Kyle Lee.
So I'm 37, and just even opening that curtain just reminds me of when Jesus died on the cross, and that's what we're going to talk about today, when he opened the veil even to heaven in between. That's kind of what happened to me, and that's where I feel like my next calling is in life, and just ministry and helping people realize that he is real.
That's awesome. And you have a business where you get to kind of be up close and personal with a lot of people. What do you do?
So I teach at Legion Jiu-Jitsu. I've been teaching there for years, Jiu-Jitsu and technique kickboxing, and I just opened Rounds of Glory, partnered with them in the same facility in Hendersonville. Yeah. And it's fitness kickboxing and boxing. So just coming in, hitting a bag, getting a body weight kind of workout.
Dying.
And
I've already took a class, dying a lot.
You're still here talking, though.
Yes.
It's not helping the cause.
I'm sorry.
But I would say it's a great workout for your body, for your mind, for your soul, that it's more than just fitness.
You're such a great encourager.
Yes.
No, she's ragging on herself that she physically, she wasn't physically fit for the but that's how you get there, right?
It-
but
it's
you
a-
were so encouraging.
It's
Yes.
a go at your own pace kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So
But
there's
he's like, come on, you can do it. Just
It-
30 more seconds.
I
You
don't
know,
have a
60 more
pace.
seconds.
it's literally like spirituality, like
Yeah.
your fitness journey, your what you eat, what you put into your body, and all aspects. We're all in our own place with that.
So let me, we pray before we eat. So shouldn't that cover?
I mean, you should pray before this workout, and
Yeah.
I integrate a lot of like,
Talking
okay,
about
we're gonna
eating
do
now.
pray,
I'm talking about
we're gonna do
eating.
prayer lunges, so you're
Yeah.
praying to get through this workout.
Yes. Yes. I had those. Yes, I
Some
sure did.
comments for you. It's coming.
Yes.
Yes.
And then one of our other favorites is Elijah Young.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm Elijah Young, 30 years old. Kind of had a up and down roller coaster of a life, and right now I'm kind of recently coming out of some recovery things and homelessness and stuff like that, and I got a good foundation going for me right now, and right now I'm really just focused on being the best man, best father, best friend, best human being I can be right now.
That's awesome.
Amen.
And he's doing an amazing job. We do run into people. April and I were just in Las Vegas, and we're literally trying to, get in an Uber with our luggage, and somebody is like going, Cindy, Cindy. And I'm like, I'm going to have my
Who knows her at the airport in Las Vegas?
And finally, it's loud and persistent. And I looked around and I'm like, we love your podcast. How's your nephew? Like, oh, man, what in the world?
Well, he's fine.
Well, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for asking.
But we are excited, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
We some shows we have a good handle on where we're gonna go, and these guys we just said, you know what, kick it, just like whatever. So I'm gonna get it started. We have some things that we do at the top of every show, just like an icebreaker. Speaking of that, do you know where that term came from? I'm just gonna tell you. So back in the Middle Ages, and they would have, there was big meetings that would happen, and kings would have to come by ship to meet other, lords, and they would send out a small ship that would break the ice into the major waterways, because as the water would get thinner closer to the shore, that's where the ice would form. Obviously, the water's colder as it gets more shallow, and so they'd send these little boats out, and they were called the icebreakers. And so over time, that term has just been a way that we say, we're just going to get started, and we're going to greet you with just a little icebreaker. So anyway, isn't that fun?
Smash that ice.
Smash it. All right. So
Piggybacking off of your water.
yeah. Do
you know how it takes 700 gallons of water to make a cotton shirt?
700 gallons? I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah, relate that to me, please.
Well, I mean, I didn't break it down to try to understand it, but that's what the internet said, so I'm just thinking it must be true.
It must be true. Okay.
Okay, we're in trouble when the fact checker doesn't know her information to fact check herself. I'm not a fact checker. I'm just going to put stuff out there, and you're supposed to be the one that knows it. All right, I've got this is the crowd that I can have a fun fact that is just a little on the just a topic of conversation. All right, it really annoys me when motivational speakers in particular say this one thing: you can do anything you want to do. No, you can't. Why do they do that? Fun fact, you can't do anything.
Just anything.
You want to do. I was watching the Olympics. I can't do it. I can't, even if I trained, I'm not built for it. Like, I can have skating. All of the desire that I want. Like, just imagine anything that you can imagine. No. Then it's just wrong. I mean, you can't. I was smart enough to tell my daughter when she was, she really wanted a black belt in karate. She finally got, a black belt. and she finally got that gold medal, and it's because she was the only girl in her age group that showed up to a competition. We told that story. It makes me cry. But you know what? At some point, I had to sit her down and say, you know what? Let's find out what you are good at, and let's do that. Let's just do more of that. But you can't do anything that you desire. When she was 4, she and her best friend Whitney went to ballet classes. And I got Rachel the tutu and everything. She'd sit there in her tutu. I'm like, I'm not paying any more money for this because she would not do it. And then I'm thinking, well, I set her up for not being a success because Whitney would do her little, at 4 and 5, and Rachel just wasn't going to do it. She was happy to have the tutu. We went home on one day and just slipped that tutu off her little rear end, and I put it up on a bear, and it's still on that bear. Because you can't.
There we go.
You can't do it. That's just a little truth bomb right there.
Yeah.
You got anything to add to that, anybody?
I always wanted to like rock climb, but I'm like leg heavy. I'm a kickboxer. I'm not. I can't.
Yeah.
climb.
Leg
No,
heavy.
I think you can do anything that you really put your mind to and apply to it. Like it will take
No.
years to
Right.
get there,
Right.
but you can do it if
No.
you work hard enough.
I
to
think
get
there's
there.
still
She's like, no.
physiological,
keep-
biological
Listen.
hindrances.
Okay,
Well, and there's
yeah.
also be like, how many
For
things
most
can you
things.
do at
most
once,
things,
right?
yeah.
Okay, let me just say this. You're in the music industry.
Yeah.
Somebody that
Can't sing.
can't hear, they can't just start
But they
hearing.
could spend years working on that technique,
No.
and they
Sometimes
may
they're
not come
tone deaf
easily
and there's
to
no
them.
help.
No.
There are tone deaf people, and there is no help for them.
I think
Thank you
this
for
is a little
sticking
too
your-
inclusive.
Thank you for. So if a non-singer is determined to sing, they still.
Can't sing.
If they can't sing, they can't sing.
I'm never gonna
I said
lead
most
worship.
things.
Most
everything.
things. She's changed it to most things.
Walking it back.
everything.
Walking it
Most
back.
things.
Thank you. I'll take that as a
Back
win.
it up.
I'll take that as a win.
You didn't think you could do a hit class, and you did one.
Oh, what?
A hit or kickboxing.
Oh, no, I knew I could.
Hit classes
But
too.
I just knew I might die. I mean, he's trained me before, so I knew it was coming.
Here's another fun fact, and I'm not going to say if this has or hasn't happened, but the Tide pods for your clothes, they do fit in a dishwasher,
Oh yes,
but they don't wash your dishes very good.
I think my wife is.
Did you learn
So
this
you
the
may
hard
have
way?
tried
I'm not gonna. So I have an Airbnb, and at one point,
Oh,
like
gosh.
6
Oh, no.
guests in, they said, I said, do you have any feedback for me? And they're like, yeah, we need some dishwashing tablets. And I'm going, no, they're under the sink. And they're going, no, those are Tide. And so I was pretty embarrassed. So they fit in dishwashers, but fun fact, they don't work so well.
It tastes good on the dishes.
All right. Anybody else have a fun fact? Yeah, I know. They're cloudy. And they're real cloudy.
Well, does
Little
anybody
softener.
know where the bikini got its name?
Nope.
Please delight us.
Can't wait to find this out.
From a nuclear bomb.
What?
What?
Yep.
And why?
See, listen.
I don't know
Angela,
why.
Angela,
No, you
listen.
gotta back it up.
You're gonna have to do better than this. Okay?
Gotta have the
You can't-
history
You can't just
story.
get to give us the peak of something interesting and then not dig deep into the reason of the
I
thing.
ran out of time, okay? Preparing for the show.
It's like giving the end of the joke.
Yeah.
Like
You're
the
telling me,
now-
it's like you're like giving us the ending scene
But
of a
now
movie.
you're going to want to go dig, right? Now you're going to want to know why?
So
I
got
she
one.
is.
I got
Okay,
one, and I
okay.
know some of the history. behind it.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Would you like to be my new co-host?
I could just Google. You just got to click the link on Google and then search. Don't just let AI tell you the top. No.
It's a whole machine. Yeah.
I like this one. I've been diving deep into the gospel, into like Hebrew and Greek, and I'm not a scholar. But do you know why the cross is at the top of the church?
No.
Because the word sin in Hebrew means to miss the mark. And repent means to turn up, turn away from your sin, turn up to Christ because he hit the mark. He's the only one that ever did. That's why the cross is at the top of the church, because we are to aim to walk just as he walked. And actually used to be in the very center of the town. So it was the exact of aiming at the target and hitting the target. That's why repent is to turn up. That's why the cross is at the top.
Very cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm out of here. That was much better than me.
We'll trade places. Now, okay, here's I'm gonna tell on myself. So recently, now I have two sons that they don't watch this show. So I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that they don't watch this show.
Just calling them out.
Wow.
But you know what? If
No,
they
I
watch,
don't think she wants them to, honestly.
if they watched any show, I hope they don't watch this one because I'm going to tell on myself and it relates to one of my sons. All right. So recently, one of my sons, Daniel, just going to say that name, Daniel Larson, he was going to go with some roommates of his and some other people to Spain for just a vacation. And there's a big time, difference between here and Spain. He was going to have a layover in London. And so he had been preparing his body for the change so that when he got there, he could hit the ground running. So his dad, my husband, was in Austria at the time. And so I'm home and he says, "Mom, would you take me to the airport 4:00 in the evening because I'm getting on a plane and it's gonna fly all night long." And anyway, so he was trying to stay up for a whole day so he would get really sleepy. When he got on this long flight, he was gonna sleep, but then he still was a little amped, and so he said, "Mom, do you have any like sleeping aids? Not anything strong like a medicine. I don't want any prescription or anything." But he said, "I just want something natural. Do you have anything natural?" And I said, "I think I've got some melatonin gummies." And he said, "Oh, that'd be great." And I said, "I think I've got some melatonin spray and I have some sleepy time tea and I'll get you." So I'm like, I go into mom mode. My son needs me for something and I just start, turning into Edith Bunker, just looking all, like, "Oh, I'm going to, do this and I'm going to get this little baggie together." And I'm digging in my nightstand, the drawer beside my bed, and I'm digging, looking for these gummies. And I'm like, I'm almost through with this jar. Is one of those big square jars from Target, with the big square thing. And I know we're in here somewhere and just throwing things in the air. And I finally find this square container. And I'm like, knowing my son, he's going to want to know how many milligrams and what is the expiration date, because he's one of those. He's a label reader, and I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna beat him to the punch, and I'm gonna know these answers. And so I'm like, I better check it. And so I'm looking at this package and got my glasses, and I'm reading and going, wait a second, this says men's multivitamins. I had been taking men's multivitamin gummies and being so
like a
mad
baby.
they didn't make me sleepy. I would be like,
Did you at least have a placebo effect from it?
no, I would be laying
Just a
there.
real good 5 o'clock shadow.
Oh my God! I picking whiskers off my chin, going, "I hate those gummies. I hate those gummies. They don't even make me sleepy." I'd be laying there wide awake, going, "Give me those vitamins." Sometimes I'd take 5 of them. I'd be like, "I think they make me worse." And I wouldn't turn the light on, so I never realized until that moment they were men's multivitamins. So I can tell you right now, audience, men's multivitamin chewy vitamins don't make middle-aged women sleepy. I'll tell you that. Maybe worse. I hated the way they tasted. They were awful. So when I finally picked him up, he said, "I thought you had some some melatonin gummies, and I said, yeah, they were expired.
So did I, son. So did I.
Listen, so I lied. But here's the other part of that. I'm
probably
home alone, right? My husband's out of the country, and so I was so humiliated. And this is the first time I'm telling this, so I'm just gonna say. So I was so humiliated. I didn't just throw this container in the trash. I threw it under trash. Like I put trash on top
You
of
had
trash.
to bury it.
Had to hide the
Because somebody
evidence.
might see it.
I'm thinking my husband will come home and go, "What man
What?
broke into my house
And you chose now to
Still in the
confess.
multivitamins.
and left their almost gone multivitamins in my trash?"
Yeah.
Wow,
So
Yeah, wow is right.
that's pretty good.
thank you. Anybody else have anything to say?
We have
Nothing after
nothing
that.
after that.
Yeah,
No,
I think that took
zero,
the cake. Yeah.
Like
that
none,
Well,
zilch.
so anyway,
It's hard to
thank
follow
you
up.
guys for being here. We talk about Southern mothers. Feel free to do that at any point, but we don't have to because I've already taken up a lot of this show. What are we doing, guys? What is happening in your world? So when you were here before, we talked about the music industry and the insiders. We learned a lot about what people could do to kind of break in and art. You had a lot of really. I have gleaned a lot of information from that and quoted you several times.
good.
And then from you can go back and watch the boxing. That show is called Hit Me With Your Best Shot. And I paired you with another pro boxer.
Randall.
Yes,
How's he
Randall.
doing?
He's doing fine,
Awesome.
man. He's great.
That's good.
So, and then Elijah pops in all the time, so he can be here no matter what. It just doesn't even matter. He's got a mic. But in the meantime, so what would you like to share with everybody? You first.
Me? Oh,
That's little.
I could go I could go on for about 2.5 hours.
Where did you come from? Just to
where
give
did I
me
come
give the audience a little bit of insight with.
So I was born in Nashville, Tennessee.
You were.
I thought I was Bruce Lee when I was about 4 years old.
Okay.
My mom would tell me to
But
come.
we're going back to 4.
Well, you said where'd I come from?
All right,
So
all right.
I was born right up the road
So you
in
did
Memorial
have a
Hospital.
Southern mother. You
Well,
did.
she moved from Iowa, and it was more southern up there.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like 1/4 of a mile road paved, where her mom lived. At least it was super country. But
Wow.
we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
just passed away in April.
Oh,
There's so much bottled up in that,
Mm-hmm.
but it was real funny. I was super shy as a kid, and she would always tell me come in and do my Bruce Lee impression of people, and I would
Yeah.
be like, I loved Bruce Lee. I thought he was
Yeah.
like a god when I was a kid, and I'd be coming in and wah, and do my shaking.
how
So
cute.
it was funny. It was like what you were talking about earlier. I think we're born with a set of gifts, a
Yes,
predestined something that he has for us to do.
Yeah.
And I could go on and on with that, but
Yeah, it's a tool.
my I did taekwondo after that for a while, and my whole life story is from where I came from. But that's on my YouTube channel. You can watch my
Yeah.
whole testimony and get a whole grip of that too,
Yeah.
if they'd like. I could.
Tell the audience where they can
I
find
don't
your whole.
know, my
We can put the
YouTube
link.
handle. I can
We'll put
grab
the
it,
link.
but
Yeah.
it's you can find me, Kyle Lee on YouTube or.
Can you
whatnot.
tell
I
us just in a paragraph, your testimony? I know it's long.
A paragraph.
I get it. Yeah.
paragraph is I was rock bottom.
Yeah.
I was very codependent and self-medicated. I grew up, my parents believing. I think there's a difference between believing and really walking as he walked. And as I get closer to him, I've realized that. And not to downplay them or their belief
Yeah,
either,
yeah.
but in my 20s, I went searching, got real dark, got into alcohol and other marijuana and things I was very codependent on. And I started going, we've been lied to on the YouTube and looking up when YouTube first came out kind of thing. And I was smoking cigarettes, drinking, watching all these videos. And I'm like mad at the Catholic Church for this and mad at the symbolism for the demonic stuff all around the world. And just I lost belief, lost faith in God, but I knew there was still a God. I was agnostic for a while. I mean, I hit rock bottom so hard, I bounced. I'm still going up. Like he's drawing me up more and more. And I got back into the church. It was funny. One of my best friends hung himself about 7 years ago. He was homeless, had a kid, had a wife, homeless for about a year. And I was just so depressed over that. Me and the mother of my kids is split up. I had 4 kids with, and I was just devastated over him, devastated over only seeing my kids a few days a month. So I started fighting MMA again after taking a break.
Now, time out. Did you spend any time in jail?
Yes, I've done some jail time.
Okay.
And now I'm getting back into jail. I should be going tomorrow. That's
Not
a
for
whole
that.
nother thing.
Yeah.
Voluntarily this time.
Yes.
Yeah. My longest stint in Sumner County Jail was 36 days. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
that was actually where I was agnostic then, and I found a book, Psalms 91 Protection Prayer book, and it was just so amazing that I was like, wow, there's something really to this in the midst of my go-through. It's funny that you said that right then. Well, my second fight, I went in and I was broken over my buddy, broken over all this worldly stuff, and I saw Rocky 2 weeks before the fight. And I was like, he got blessed from the windowsill from the Catholic priest. And I thought I should just go get blessed or something. So one of my coaches was like, hey, go over here. The whole sermon was about fighting. And it specifically like what I was going through, even though I was mad at God for a whole set of reasons.
Wow.
He didn't care. And
He can handle it.
Yeah.
It's not too.
well, and Christ said something that I've been sitting, my whole foundation of my calling that I know he wants me to do now. And, there's so many opinions on, we can drink, we can smoke, we can do what we want. But Christ said, don't bicker amongst yourselves. The only way that someone comes to me is if the Father who sent me draws him. And I know because he's done it to me.
So you went to get blessed, and you got a lot more.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to sit here and keep going on because I definitely can over that topic.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but-
really awesome. And I've just been around you a few times, and you're really such a, you draw that out of people, and you just shine with so much love and non-judgmental. Just you hug everybody without even moving your arms. Like your heart enters a room before you do.
Yeah.
I've always just loved people, even when I was broken, even when I was like that. But something I have learned through my studying of the scriptures, it's in 2 Peter. Like it takes growth to get to that agape love, growth with him, growth in your relationship with the Father. That's the very last thing that on the list that Peter talked about is that agape love. And that's like, okay, going so far as I'm getting back into jails, like along my journey, I got so dark, I understand now God's grace for a murderer, for somebody that's done worse than that, things I don't even want to, mention. And to love them with your whole heart and to understand that we're not at war against flesh and blood,
Yeah.
but evil spirits in the heavenly places. That stuff's real. So, say even a serial killer, like what happened to them to make them
Get to
become
that point.
Exactly. So to
Yeah.
find love in your heart, I always forget the interview who it was. Was it Dahmer or Bundy? And he was like, I gave my life to God, so I'm good now, right before they killed him. Like they were testing the electric chair and the lights were flickering behind him. And he was very like, I am a Christian now. And I'm like, you could tell he was being so delusional, like just trying to throw it at like Christians kind of. But I saw that at 17 in criminal justice class in school, and I was like, that dude needs to fry. I was so mad at that. I mean, that dude was terrible.
Yeah.
And I watched it again recently since my epiphany, and my heart broke for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened to him? Go watch Nefarious. Nefarious? Is that how you say it? That movie, the newer movie. Have you seen it? Oh, it's wild. It's about a guy like on death row.
Really?
that's fully possessed.
Wow.
It's a phenomenal movie. It's not like The Exorcist or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's not like
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so now, fast forward to today, you're able to. April went to see you talk before a bunch of guys recently, and you just kind of really bared your soul. But sometimes you got to go there, don't you? And just say, I mean,
yeah.
they wouldn't listen to me because I haven't been through anything. But that's why your testimony. The Bible says we're made overcomers by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony,
Yes.
and love not our lives unto death. And I'm going, that's why what you're going through is never about you. We've talked about that so many times. It's like, it feels so personal. but
That's
it's just
actually
not.
the exact scripture I send people when I send them my testimony.
Wow, that's incredible. And Anna B, you have, I don't really know what all you have on your plate, except that, I know you've experienced a big, you're drawn to help people through sobriety. But did you get arrested? Did you
I spent some jail time too.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
think
you're so
it's safe to say
cute.
most of us have.
What do you want to share? Because, this is your time too.
I mean, I can share pretty much anything,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I think the beauty of people like us is that we're so open
Yeah.
about everything.
And that's what people really want, is real and raw anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because there's so much
fake.
surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I happen to
People.
know, so sometimes bad things happen to good people, and your mom and dad raised you in a very strict house and loved you, and just couldn't have been better parents as far
Yes.
as I
Yeah.
know.
I grew up in a beautiful Christian, God-loving home. I had parents who actually walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. Went to church with all these wonderful people
Yeah.
growing up.
So at what point, what made you kind of bump out and go, I'm going to be my own person, and what that looks like?
I guess during my preteen years, some things happened that I couldn't really process and deal with.
Okay.
And I started using drugs and alcohol and partying to cope with it and get out of reality. And the music industry is a place that encourages and is socially acceptable to do those activities. So it was easy for me to build a career within an industry of people that encourage that.
Yeah.
So I was really good at doing both of those at once. And quickly fell into smoking every single day, drinking every day, other drugs every day, just rolling that life, but still working and trying to keep a perfectionist work style as well.
Right.
And was pretty good at that for a long time. One of the things, though, is like when you're going down that path and you're around so many different addictions and people entertaining those dark things in their life,
Right.
there's a lot of death and darkness and pain and agony. And I slowly began to lose my faith in God in the way of he can get us out of these things, because I started seeing it more as bondage than something that was saving me. It quickly turned into that, and people were dying, and horrible things were happening. Repercussions happen when you choose these choices. But I no longer saw good anymore. I wasn't going to church anymore. I wasn't around Christians anymore. I wasn't around even just good people. It was just around the people going towards bad things. So a lot of that, I remember going to my mom once and just going, this world is so dark. This world is like, what? Where's the good? Where's the good? And she's like, it's out there. You have to go to it. And I'm like, where?
Yeah.
It was like I was putting myself in the darkest areas,
Yeah.
trying to get away from things that I needed to deal with. And I used to say I could be the light in the dark, and then that was silly because I was never putting myself around the light and going to the light, going to God myself. So through that process, I really did lose a lot of faith in him saving people and miracles and such. And through a few some hard times and jail time and so much more. I ended up hitting my rock bottom and going to AA. And through going through that program, I got to watch people sit there and declare victory and miracles over and over and over again from God. And I'm like, okay, so you don't give up on us. Look at that person. Look at that person. Look at that person.
Yeah.
And that through that program, I was also able to work on myself and work on my relationship with God and be able to deal with a lot of things that I had pushed away since my childhood. And was able to build that relationship again and that trust and that faith and that relationship.
Did you find that the crowd that you had been hanging out with, was it hard for them to let you go and for you to
It was
be a
not
new
easy,
person?
not hard for them to let me go. Not at all.
Yeah.
That's what's so
and
crazy.
You think
Yeah.
they'll never let me go, and then
Oh, they'll drop you like
they
a
don't.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
Definitely
you never
not.
existed.
Bye.
Yeah.
You never existed.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
But also like they don't. When you're not doing it with them, they feel judged. And like I get that. I understand
Yeah.
that. That's where I was too. If you didn't do anything, I'd be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
You know, misery enjoys company.
Yeah.
So
But when you started feeling the feels and thinking the thoughts, it's a new day, isn't it? And
Yes.
you have to decide every day, like, ooh, I can walk through this and deal with reality, because
Yes.
it's not easy. I mean, I know you lost some people you loved,
Yeah.
and some people you probably, I don't know your story, except I know, we shared a friend.
Yeah.
And I still miss Clay all the time, and we wear his bracelets, and I've got a bracelet to give
Yeah.
you. I forgot to bring it tonight. But we do have, we keep his name alive because, he's precious. And a friend of, I'll just tell our audience, a friend of Annabie's was also a friend of Elijah's. And at what point when you guys were little, and then at some point he started being curious with things, how did that affect you?
For me, I always had somewhat of a curiosity of the world.
Yeah.
When you tell me not to do something, it kind of just makes me want to get a little bit more
do
interested.
that. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Like, why not?
Challenge
Like, why not?
accepted.
Yeah.
Like you were the Adam scenario. Like,
absolutely.
wait, what are we not supposed
What
to?
So what am I not supposed to do?
Go eat.
Yeah,
Go
so-
eat that. Go
Right.
eat that fruit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's just a natural rebellious nature that I'd have to, struggle with and deal with, just as that I've had to learn about myself, and I had to understand that actually, it's a part of who I am, like that natural instinct to have a little rebelliousness. That doesn't make me any less of anything. It just means I have to respond properly. I can't just like feed into your natural urges, right? But obviously, I had to go through some things before I got to where I could figure that out. So for me, I guess I wasn't super close with people in high school. I was kind of distant. I never really felt connected to any particular group. Like I had friend groups, but like it was like categoric. Like it never like. These were my baseball players. These were my buddies that I played music with. These are people I went to church with. But, like, nobody really knew who Elijah was. I didn't even know who Elijah was because Elijah was a different person with each one of these people groups. And so at some point, I had just kind of, muted my own desires and expectations of myself and just started displaying what I knew everybody needed from me around me, And it got to a point where ultimately, as I grew into adulthood, I took on a lot of responsibility early in life. Got married at 20 while I was still in college, still playing baseball. And then we had a child about 4 years after that. And there were just a lot of different aspects that kind of made things complicated. Like we had some drama that happened with my family where, I separated from my parents. And then we had some issues with, our living situations. And so I had a kid on the way and all these pressurizing things that are happening in my life. And it was really like the first time I ever felt like I'd failed, you know, because yes, I had not been immediately successful at everything I did, but I never felt like I failed at it. You know what I mean? And it always felt like, hold on, just let me try it again. I got this.
Yeah.
You know, that was a fluke.
A redo.
Yeah.
That was a fluke. You didn't see this. Let me show you. Watch this. Okay. But at this time, it didn't feel like that because this was such a enormous failure that and it affected so many other people. You know, so many other lives that I couldn't hide from it. I couldn't suppress it. You know, and I wasn't emotionally equipped, spiritually equipped, physically equipped to deal with it, and I just buried it in a bottle. You know, and that's all I did. And so, for a long time, I got blanks of months just because I was drinking 2 liters of whiskey a day. Like, that's a lot of alcohol. You know, it's a lot of alcohol. So,
Wow.
and it was in my head. I could convince myself, oh, you're fine because I'm still working 10, 12 hours a day. You know, like I was very functional. You know, so which is a problem. You know, that
Right.
is almost worse. Like,
Right.
because it's easier to convince yourself when you can still function
Yeah.
in reality, and I can convince people that there's not a problem. Me looking myself in the face and knowing that there's a problem.
Yeah.
So, I just had to get to a place, where I had to get real with myself, and I was really stuck. Honestly, the hardest part was being suicidal. That's really what kept me. That's really what kept me there. Because the reality of what I was going through is, I had all these things that were falling apart, and I knew, I have a child, and obviously the realistic things. I have family that loves me. I have people that will miss me, but I was just being selfish. All I was thinking about was myself, and it was hard. It was hard to get outside of thinking about anything other than not wanting to be here. But it was frustrating because on the flip side of that coin, then I'm basically cussing myself out for being a coward in the sense of not having the nuts to kill myself, you know? So now I'm arguing with myself about my own reality constantly. And that was a place I was stuck in for several years. And once I got out of that, it's just a demonic mindset, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're battling.
It's
not even yourself.
Yeah,
at that
it's
point.
just very, very in-depth spiritual warfare, honestly. And once I got through that and understood and saw, like, hey, I do want to be here. That's really all it took. Because at that point, stuff started clicking because it was like, now I know, okay, look, I don't have to fix it all tomorrow, but I do need to go get a job. Okay, let's do that. Let's check that off the list. Okay, you probably shouldn't. Yeah, okay, let's leave the bottle over there. Okay, okay, you don't have any money to give to your kid right now, but she'd probably still like to see you today,
Yeah.
Like little wins that you set yourself up, and these little things that build your self-confidence, build your, self-esteem, and it's just one day you look up and you have a little bit of a body of work and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm somewhere now,
Yeah.
like I'm not where I want to be, but I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
and I got a plan to get there. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, you identify.
But and straight even to piggyback right off of that, since we're talking about Jesus and being sober, like Peter wrote, and you got to take some gravity. Like Peter walked with Christ,
Yeah.
and he wrote, be sober minded, be alert, for our adversary the devil is he's prowling around like a roaring lion, looking for anyone to devour. So it's. Were you battling with yourself when you were thinking, I'm too cowardice to even do that? I'd say a hard no. I used to think people that killed themselves were mentally weak. And 3 months before my best friend hung himself, one of my very best friends, me and the mother of my kids split up. I was so messed up. I was like taking Xanaxes every day for like over a year, drinking, and just so codependent on just this reality and no spiritual, nothing there. And I just wanted to kill myself at the end of it all. I was so mad at what I physically did downtown one night. And I just jumped in my car and I was like, I'm just going to end it. I'm just going to drive my car into the middle of the medium, going 80, 90 down 65, heading to a Title Boxing Club where I used to work. And I didn't. And it made me realize they're not weak at all. Like, it's so easy to get there. And that's why I have tattooed right here, never, never give up, with a semicolon. And it's kind of like my mantra is like, don't give up. And everything, even just hearing some of, what we've been through. And I can sit here and testify that he will take what the enemy meant for evil and turn it for good.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I know you guys have kids. You don't have a baby, but when you see your own weaknesses show up in your kid, I mean, that is like that's part of a big aha where you want to make a difference. Not only do you want to live, but you want to spare somebody, whether it's your child or somebody else, where you can see, I can just being around some, big.
Stop the cycle of hurt. Right
Gen-
there.
Yeah.
Generational
Yeah.
curses
Yeah.
are real. And
Yeah.
we have the keys
Yeah.
to break that.
And can't you? And you guys have all. I'm from the outside looking in, but I care about people with addiction, and I have some very good friends who have made a life of this, where they house people and they have the programs and all this, and so I've been very connected to it in my heart. And then of course walking with Elijah a lot, I can spot in the homeless, working with the homeless downtown Nashville for 7 years every Tuesday night straight, but I feel like I can spot somebody a mile away that is from that background. Do you guys feel like you sense it? Like I was recently at a table, and it was a fundraiser table. It was a beautiful event, and there were 2 empty spots, and a lady sat down, and I was like, immediately I knew, like, oh, there's an addict, And then when we had a time to turn around, and there was a break, and we're supposed to introduce ourselves, this lady had been sober for 8 years, but had been from that background. I'm like, I knew it. Not that she carried that spirit, but just as like, yeah, I mean, there's still, when you're walking around, whether it's your child or somebody else, doesn't your heart just leap and you go, ooh, I want to stop you. I want to talk to you because I've been where you've been.
Yeah, I think there's definitely the familiar spirit in the spiritual realm as well. And then there's also, like, we have common traits and stuff. And it's easier, I think, for us to connect because we understand and we know and we've been there. And just like earlier today, I ran into somebody in recovery at church, and it wasn't somebody I actually knew in recovery. I just knew that she was. And we just started talking, and we started talking about recovery. Like, and we're not talking about anything else, but it's just you
But
find
it's
each
like
other,
that,
and it's easy
using it for your good.
Yeah, and
like
it's-
God's going to turn it around, and you're going to connect to those people.
right. And it's somebody new in church who doesn't know anyone, walking in scared, and like he uses it for that community, that love, you know, and
for sure.
that was pretty awesome just today.
And I also think it's very cool that God knows where our bottom is, and He knows what it's going to take to get us to where we need to be.
Well, a lot of times, we think, well, if somebody hits their rock bottom, then they'll really come to the Lord. And I think, why would we want somebody to be in the rock bottom? Like, why do we wish that on somebody?
Yeah, I'm kind of firm against that, I'd say, because my best friend ended up dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
I want to testify to as many people as I can that I've heard his voice. I did not harden my heart. Even this year, I was lukewarm for 7 years, still doing stuff after getting baptized. And no, rock bottom's not the place. If you can stop them sooner, that's his plan.
But I'm
that's
talking
rough.
about even the strategic roads or the strategic people that He places. I know you have a testimony of that. I'm sure
Right.
everybody does. I had to get to this place, and this person got me here. And
Oh,
then if I
exactly.
hadn't have worked here, then I wouldn't have met this person. And he knows that whole road and that whole journey of our life, and uses that to go, you know what? That's how I'm going to get you there.
Now
you know?
that I mean, I do agree too.
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking, oh man, some people will hit rock bottom and die.
They stay
Yeah.
there.
Right,
No.
and that's
Stay
where
there.
I just have to say it's probably just
Yeah.
because of what happened to my
I
friend,
think
which
of it
is why I'm
like
so
a-
passionate. Like
I think of it like a Jonah situation
Yeah.
where like Jonah's like, how did I get here?
3
You know?
days in
3
there,
days. And Elijah's situation, he ended up at an altar in Cincinnati, outside of Cincinnati, going, how did I get here? And it was a pray through moment. And sometimes it might have been in jail. A lot of times people get arrested and the solidarity of these bars and the steel sink and steel toilet. It's like, how did I get here? And I don't belong here.
But you always say arrest is protection. I mean, it's God's
Yeah.
protection, and
It-
so
it
sometimes we have to
stop
get
you from hurting yourself
Yeah.
and others.
Well, I've gotten into a prison ministry recently, same one, and when they're putting you through the training, they're like, remember, you're not bringing God into the prison. He's already there.
Yeah, that's good.
Some of my favorite videos, and I'll share it with my family, like revival happening behind bars, and I love it. I just because, and it's a cliche, but so many people walking around free as a bird are more in bondage and in jail, imprisoned than people who were actually behind bars.
For sure.
He'll set the captive free, and that's not prison talk. You know,
Yeah.
that's our own bars. I hear people in prison claiming I heard his voice, like he totally set me free from drugs, because there's tons of that stuff in prison. You have an option to stay in a gang or get out and get clean even in prison. So it's like he sets captives free inside and outside. Elijah heard his voice in the cave, and it was.
Do you want to tell a little bit of the lady? I know it's a lot.
No, it's okay.
Just if you can tell a little bit about
Fraction.
the fraction of your story of how God had the lady when you ran out of gas, like
That
strategic.
one. Okay.
That's what I was getting at about strategic journeys, or you thought you were doing one thing and God's like, nope.
Well, God has foreknowledge.
Yeah.
People want to disagree about him having predestined us to do certain things, like you're talking about, like, no, he can do all this, this, and this, and this will lead you here. It's even a step bigger than that. King David, he said, hey, God, if I go over here, are they going to turn me into Saul? He said, yes. That's God's foreknowledge of things that didn't even happen. So the fact there's a schism in the church over this it's wild to me, because he knows things that don't even happen. So I ran out of gas doing stuff I really shouldn't have been doing, intoxicated. I was driving the wrong way on Interstate 40, 0 degrees outside. And I wasn't going down the wrong side of the interstate. I testified to somebody, and they're like, you're driving on the wrong side of the road. No. I started heading out toward Knoxville. I was in Lebanon, ran out of gas. I'm like, oh, no, I got to be at work at like 6 a.m. So I took a nap, woke up. I'm like, what am I going to do? So cell phone didn't even have service. I don't know where I'm at. I get out of my car, throw my overalls on that my mom got me. I had pretty much everything in my car because I was kind of homeless, living out of my mom's basement in between relationships. And I start walking down the road. I go just straight ahead. Next exit's totally abandoned. Not even closed, abandoned. So I'm like, so I go on the other side of the interstate. I'm walking down, probably hitting a little, like literally, I was so lost. I'd just been baptized, just got back from Haiti. They were like, you should come up speaking in tongues, transformed in a moment. But I didn't repent. I didn't even know what the meaning of repentance really was. A cop stops. He's like, what are you doing out here? Not a nice sheriff either. I was like, I'm out of gas over here. And he's like, all right, we'll get in the back. He takes me, get a gallon of gas. I put it in the car that I'm literally borrowing from somebody. Doesn't start, this push button Land Rover. I'm like, well, it's probably out or it's messed up. And he's like, well, I can't spend any more time with you. I'm going to take you back to the gas station. This old lady helps me out, elderly woman. But they don't have any
My
gas.
age.
No, she was the 70s, 80s. But they didn't have any gas cans. So we go to another gas station. We pull up. She looks at me and she says, God just told me to tell you that he's going to use you to lead hundreds of thousands of people to him. And that it's not going to be about religion, but it's going to be about relationship. She said, some people are going to think you're crazy, and some people are going to turn to him right away. And I was like, lady, you're crazy. I am not that guy. But Billy Graham didn't say it was him. Billy Graham said it was the Holy Spirit in him. And it took 5 years later until I heard his voice, and he was drawing me closer and closer. And it dawned on me. I was like, what he told her was real.
Wow.
Just think about how much that prophetic seeding like actually sprouted and like
Yes.
I went through a 3-day I went through a 3-day deliverance myself after I heard his voice.
Yeah.
And I like got set free from generational curses, all kinds of stuff. But it was like she went on and kept prophesying over me for like 10 minutes. I didn't remember any of it. I videotaped it videotaped the floorboard. I thought it was deleted. No, I found it 5 years exactly to the day this year.
Wow. Kyle.
Oh, there's way more. I gotta stop. But we don't.
I gotta stop.
I want to, just to wrap it up real quick, just kind of go around and ask you one thing. If we never know when the last time we see each other because of not from stupid stuff, but we just don't know. And what would you like to be known for? You start, Anna B.
oh my gosh, what a question and then just direct.
What would you, because you've done a lot and you've been, and just to sum it up with, what would you like for people to remember you by?
God's unconditional love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
about
that.
it.
I love that. Elijah,
That's
do
a
you
good
have?
sum up.
Yeah, mine's kind of similar. I'd say I want everybody that I come in contact with to always feel protected and loved. And like no matter what, somewhere around me is a safe place.
Yeah.
That's how I'd like to be remembered.
That's awesome.
Good.
You know, I'd like to be known for boasting in him, because a lot of what I even just said, it sounds like, oh, I did that. That is him.
Yeah.
Like he made me realize I needed to quit smoking. He's the one. But I want to be known for boasting in him. And Billy Graham said this. He's so renowned and so known for all these numbers of people that he saved. And he said, it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality. And it's not by works that we're saved. It's the work that Christ did on that cross. But Paul said, you can claim to know God and deny him with your actions. So it is what we do after we come to that. So it is work to deny yourself, pick up your cross, and follow Christ. And in that moment is when he is the closest, because that cross is custom made and it's too heavy for you to bear alone.
So I just had like a vision of you. I mean, they had a concise thought, and you have a picture. Your picture is pointing to the cross. So yours, with all that you said, what I think I'll remember from this as a takeaway is just you standing there pointing to the cross. Thank you, Kyle.
You got to turn up.
Thank you, guys.
Repent.
Love, love, love. Well, I hope that you guys have just realized that no matter what, no matter how dark has been, no matter how alone you've been and how far to the bottom, whatever you've done, you're here today. Hopefully that you will turn your life around and you'll find somebody to be accountable. Pray a prayer, even if it's by yourself, because God is there with you. We're here to help, and we just love you. Appreciate you being here today. So get it together, y'all. We love you. Bye-bye for now.